Everybody. Thank you for joining today. We will get started in just a minute, but thank you again for joining the Community Power Accelerator Prize Round 3 informational webinar. Right, we're going to go ahead and get started. So thank you again so much for joining today's informational webinar for the Community Power Accelerator Prize Round 3. We're so excited to have you here, and we're looking forward to telling you all about this amazing opportunity. My name is Kaylee Isaacs, and I am from the National Renewable Energy Laboratory. I'm the prize administrator for the Community Power Accelerator Prize, and I'm joined today by Allie Robbins, the Community Power Accelerator Point of Contact from the U.S. Department of Energy Solar Energy Technologies Office. A few housekeeping items before we dive in today. We have a couple of audio options, computer or phone. We'll be doing some live questions at the end of today's presentation. So if you have any questions, though, you can put them into the chat. You can don't put them into the chat. You can put them in the Q&A option. Please put them there, not in the chat, so that way we can make sure we see them. If you're having any issues with your audio or anything with the presentation, you can put that in the chat, and Carly Ortiz will help you to the best of her ability. And again, we are recording this webinar and we'll be posting it on HeroX by the end of this week. So if you have, again, any questions, put them into the Q&A. We'll answer them all at the end, but you can put them out throughout the presentation, and we are recording this today. For our agenda today, we're going to talk through the National Community Solar Partnership Plus and the Community Power Accelerator. We'll talk about the prize and talk about phase 1, which is where we are right now, and we'll talk about what you need to know to get prepared to submit for phase 1. We're also going to quickly go through phase 2 and phase 3, so you know what to expect if you get selected for phase 1 and you move on to phase 2 and phase 3. And then we'll talk about the next steps and how you can get started, and then we'll be answering our questions at the end. Quickly, the American-Made program is proud to host the Community Power Accelerator Prize. For any of you that are unfamiliar with the American-Made program, it is powered by the U.S. Department of Energy and administered by NREL, and it is used to incentivize innovation through prizes, training, teaming, and mentoring. If you'd like to learn more about American-Made or join our amazing network, please visit americanmadechallenges.org and to learn more about this program, also to see all of the different prizes that we are hosting. All right, now it is my pleasure to introduce Allie Robbins from the U.S. Department of Energy to provide you with an overview of the National Community Solar Partnership, as well as the Community Power Accelerator Program. Allie, over to you.
Awesome. Thanks, Kaylee, so much. And hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today to talk about an exciting new round of the Community Power Accelerator Prize. I'm Allie Robbins. I'm a contractor with the U.S. Department of Energy, and I support the National Community Solar Partnership Plus, along with leading the Community Power Accelerator. Next slide, please. So since its launch in 2016, the National Community Solar Partnership has focused on expanding community solar access and addressing the challenges to scaling community solar deployment across the country. Now, if you haven't heard, we actually launched and expanded this program, now known as the National Community Solar Partnership Plus, to scale up opportunities for low and moderate income residential rooftop solar plus storage, community benefiting commercial projects, microgrids, and distributed solar plus storage aggregations, such as virtual power plants. The prize that you're going to hear about today is open to all these forms of distributed solar generation. The graphic on the left-hand side of your screen gives you a flavor of all the resources that the National Community Solar Partnership Plus offers, including an innovative technical assistance program that provides an online community networking and peer learning platform, funding opportunities like the one we're going to talk about today, tools and trainings, along with data collection and analysis. Throughout our work on the National Community Solar Partnership, we've heard time and time again how access to capital continues to be a major barrier to project deployment. Solar developers and community organizations often lack expertise, capacity, and importantly, pre-development funds to access capital. And of course, capital providers, including philanthropic organizations, are reluctant to invest in projects they might view as risky or difficult to assess. Our answer to that challenge has really been the Community Power Accelerator. So we're going to get more into that in just a second. But first, I cannot resist the plug to join the National Community Solar Partnership. So go ahead and hit that next screen. Love it. So please do pull out your phones and scan that QR code and join the National Community Solar Partnership Plus. We would love to see you there. It's a great forum if you're trying to answer a sticky development question or if you're searching for your next partner on a project. We post a whole host of juicy resources there, and you can interact with all the staff here at DOE supporting the National Community Solar Partnership Plus. It's our first point of connection to all of you out there today who are aiming to build these solar projects with meaningful benefits. So go ahead and next slide, please. So what are the 5 meaningful benefits? We know that expanding access to benefits of solar and storage is key to accelerating the equitable transition to clean energy. So NCSP Plus is helping expand access to the benefits of solar by providing savings to households, building community wealth and resilience, creating jobs in low income and disadvantaged communities. All of this is in line with President Biden's Justice 40 initiative. And I think really importantly, all of the projects on the accelerator must meet at least one of these meaningful benefits. And the prize does have a heightened requirement when it comes to the meaningful benefits, and we'll get into that in just a few slides. So next slide, please, Carly. Cool. So down to brass tacks, the Community Power Accelerator aims to build a pipeline of credit-ready solar projects that provide those meaningful benefits to underserved communities. And we also provide developers with training and technical expertise and connect them to those mission-aligned investors and philanthropic organizations that can provide needed capital at the right moment. So next slide, please. We love a rainbow slide. This gives you a great sense of the entirety of the ecosystem that exists on the accelerator today. And I really want to emphasize something here, which is that you do not need to win this prize in order to start making those connections today. So I highly encourage you to start logging on to the accelerator. As you can see, we have over $1.5 billion in committed capital from those capital providers to support projects on the accelerator. So we view this as major. Please do log on today and start taking advantage of those resources. Next slide, please. So across the gamut of the services that we have on the accelerator, and again, I want to say this one more time, you can start taking advantage of these today. You do not need to win this prize. So we have a variety of different courses. Just recently, we actually announced what we call a massive open online course, otherwise known as a MOOC, where it is completely free and self-paced and teaches you soup to nuts on how to develop community solar. We have a lot more courses in the pipeline over the next couple of years, which we're really excited to talk about. So stay tuned for that. Of course, we have the marketplace, the online marketplace that I would love to see each and every one of you on this call taking advantage of today. We also have a credit ready checklist, which was developed in partnership with over 40 financial institutions to really make sure that you, as you're going through your development timeline and checklist, that you are walking the talk when it comes to meeting all the requirements that are needed to go and pitch your projects in front of investors. And of course, we have a technical assistance program, which is on demand. You can definitely, again, start communicating with us, start taking advantage of that technical assistance. If you have any kind of sticky questions, that's where our technical assistance providers come into play. And then, of course, what we're here to talk about today is the Community Power Accelerator Prize. We're on our third round of that $10 million prize, but of course, it's bigger, better, bolder than ever with those new technology types that we're allowing through the prize beyond community solar. So the online marketplace, couple of screenshots here. Feel free to, again, pull out your phones and it'll go directly to the Community Power Accelerator online marketplace. This is really where you can connect as a developer with those organizations, lenders, and philanthropic givers to be able to get your projects financed. Next slide, please. So the foundations course, part of the requirement of this prize is you do need to start at the very baseline level of this course to show that you're really serious about developing these projects. We have a whole host of resources here. Again, it does cover soup to nuts on how to develop these projects. I am not personally a solar developer, so when I took this course, it was a pretty steep learning curve. So I highly recommend, if you have not already checked out all those great course materials from the University of New Hampshire, we're so thankful to be in partnership with them in developing these great courses. And our technical assistance program. So if you need help completing that credit ready checklist, or if you need help figuring out how do I fill out my project profiles on the accelerator, or maybe you have some sticky interconnection question that you're trying to figure out, this is where our technical assistance program comes into play. So you can get a flavor of who our technical assistance providers are, and we do match you with those technical assistance providers based on the questions that you're trying to answer. So thank you, and next slide. So credit ready checklist, this has been totally revamped in the last month. So I highly recommend that you check it out. Again, it is a very rigorous form that covers the entire gamut of everything you need to cover when you're trying to develop these projects. Go ahead, next slide. If you've never gone out there and started talking to philanthropy, we have a handy dandy guide that you can start reading today. Helps you get a sense about how, when you're talking to a variety of different capital providers, right, they have different motivations. So hence why we created the Philanthropy Ready Guide to help you on that journey. So next slide, please. I love this slide. It just gives you one slice. This is not exhaustive of all the capital providers that are on the accelerator today looking to support your projects, but you might see some household names. So this is just a little bit of a teaser to try and get you to start taking advantage of the accelerator today. And we are so thankful to those partners. And I think that's the last slide for me. So I'm going to pass it over to my colleague Kaylee again, so she can talk through the finer details of the prize. And you'll see me again during the Q&A section.
Thanks so much, Allie, for that overview and the background on NCSP Plus and the Accelerator program. But now we are going to turn our attention to the prize itself. So what is the Community Power Accelerator Prize all about? This prize is a $10 million three-phase prize designed to fast-track the efforts of new, emerging, and expanding solar developers and co-developers to learn, participate in, and get financing for multiple successful distributed solar projects. This prize seeks to increase the number of equitable distributed solar projects by providing funding throughout the project pre-development process, tools and resources to connect developers with private sector financing, training to understand the full cycle of distributed solar development, and free consulting to competitors on the steps necessary to get the distributed solar project finance, as well as coaching on expanding developers' solar customer markets. So there's a lot going on with this prize and what we can help you do. Very exciting on round three. We have expanded our business models for round three. So we are having this round focuses on community benefiting distributed solar. This includes, but is not limited to community solar projects, distributed energy resource aggregation projects, microgrid projects, and commercial and industrial projects. So again, these are just some of those distributed solar. And you can learn more about these models and these definitions in the rules as well. And just so how this is a little bit different than our round two and round one prizes. Round one and round two just focused on community solar. So again, this one, we are expanding the business models because we know there's a lot of great work out there that is benefiting the community with solar. So we wanted to have you be able to participate in this prize. So as I mentioned, this is a $10 million prize. For this prize, we have 3 phases, and on the slide, you can see the duration approximately for each of these phases. But in phase 1, since this is what we're going to focus on primarily today, we're anticipating awarding up to 25 winners. And each of those winners will get $50,000 per winner. And then in phase 2, we'll again select up to 25 winners. You'll get $200,000 per winner in that phase. So that's our largest phase in terms of cash prizes. And phase 3, we'll be giving away up to $150,000 per winner for up to 25. What's really neat about the Community Power Accelerator prize is that this is not a down select prize. So if you make it in phase 1, you get selected. In phase 2, you're not competing with your other fellow competitors to make sure that you get selected for phase 2 and move on to phase 3. No, instead, like we want everyone to be successful in phase 2 and in phase 3. So we are awarding up to those 25 competitors, as long as you're selected in phase 1, to be able to move forward and get these prizes, which is really neat here. Again, as I've mentioned, we have 3 phases, ready, set, and grow. So in phase 1, the goal for this is we're looking to identify new or expanding solar developers and co-developers with a high potential to develop at least 1 megawatt of distributed solar projects that incorporate our meaningful benefits. And this is open now through December 17th. Our phase 2, we are recognizing successful distributed solar pre-development activities through the participation of our foundations course, the completion of the credit ready checklist that Ali was mentioning. This one, we are anticipating it launching in February, going through December of next year. And then phase 3, our last one of this prize, is to engage in the Community Power Accelerator and secure investment commitments for your portfolio of at least 1 megawatt of solar projects with you investors or philanthropic organizations. And this one is September 2025 through August 2026 there. In terms of participation, this prize is open to any U.S. solar developers, including new developers and experienced developers who are expanding their solar operations. This prize is looking for those who have the ambition to develop and finance a project portfolio of at least 1 megawatt of distributed solar with meaningful benefits incorporated. In terms of the meaningful benefits, your portfolio must have the following 2 meaningful benefits: the equitable access and consumer protections, as well as meaningful household savings. And then your portfolio must have at least one of the following benefits: resilience, storage, and grid benefits, community-led economic development, and solar workforce development. So in total, your portfolio needs to have 3 meaningful benefits, 2 of them that are required, which is the equitable access and meaningful household savings. And then you can choose out of the remaining 3, which one you would like to include into your portfolio. Additionally, for eligibility here, in addition to our solar developers, we're looking for community-based organizations, multifamily affordable housing providers, state, local governments, intermediate organizations, contractors, etc. So if you are a community-based organization or any of one of these here and you're interested in participating in this prize, we encourage you to find a developer that you can partner with if you don't have any experience in developing solar, and that can help you do this. So you can read more about our eligibility requirements in the official rules. But something that's really neat if you're interested in the prize and you don't have experience with the with solar development, you can join our Power Connectors teaming networking event that's happening next week on November 19th. And they are going to help you find find out how you can connect with another interested competitor that aligns with your projects, with your portfolio, and what you're trying to do. Additionally, EFN, you can connect with them to get support on the prize. You can ask questions of them. They can provide you some verbal feedback on your submission materials. So this Power Connector support is completely free for you. It's a great resource for you. We have their contact information on the slide, but you can also find it on HeroX as well. And we have dropped in the chat the registration link for the next networking event on November 19th. So we hope to see you there, and hopefully you can find your partner for the prize. All right, so giving you an overview now, I want to now focus on phase 1 and what you need to know to apply for this phase and how to be successful. So quickly here, phase 1 is the first phase in this Community Power Accelerator prize. Again, we're awarding up to 25 competitors with $50,000 each. And the goal here is we're trying to identify new or expanding distributed solar developers and co-developers who want to develop at least 1 megawatt of distributed solar projects that include at least 3 of those 5 meaningful benefits here. So again, this is going to be very important, as we've mentioned earlier. The meaningful benefits, you need to have at least these, you must include the 2 required here, and then you can include 1 of the following 3 at the bottom of the slide. For phase 1, in terms of our logistics here, it's open now through December 17th. We're anticipating announcing our winners in February of next year, so keep an eye out on HeroX for that winner announcement. If you have not already signed up for the prize on HeroX, please do so. You can do so on this QR code, or you can go to the HeroX link, but you have to sign up on HeroX to be able to apply for this prize. That's the only way we accept submissions, so make sure you get logged in onto HeroX and you start your application early. So that way you can, if you have any questions, you can do that there. And speaking of HeroX, I'm going to do a quick overview on HeroX so you can see what I'm talking about when I talk about this prize platform and how you can apply for it. So again, you can follow along by clicking on this or scanning the QR code or going to our HeroX prize page. All right, so here we are on HeroX, and this is our main page. Again, this is the URL, herox.com/community power accelerator round 3. And you can, it's in the chat as well. So here's our main page. You can learn more about the prize, a general overview, the awards, everything that we're talking about right now. If you go to our timeline, you can see these important dates. If you're interested in the EFN teaming event, networking event, you can also go to this link here, our submission deadline, and more. Updates. This is us communicating with you to tell you important information about the prize. So make sure you check out our updates. If you have questions, please go to the forum. You can write your questions or ask your questions in this forum and we'll get back to you. You can also see from our last webinar that we hosted in October, we posted all of our questions here. So you can go to that Q&A and maybe someone already asked a question and you could read about that and our answer. But I highly encourage you to utilize this forum, especially because if you email us, which you can do that, it might get lost. This, though, will not get lost. We will respond to you typically within 48 hours on the forum. On Teams here, I think this is really neat. You can see everybody who is currently signed up and interested in the prize. But also, if you are looking for another team member, another solar developer, co-developer, you can go to this Find a Team button here, and then you can see other people that are looking for a team. So I encourage you to also use this tool to look for other members. And then resources here, this is where you can find our official rules, the Intro to Community Solar course, which is required for this prize, as well as our past webinar recording, our templates, and more. So this is for you to use. And then FAQs, if you have some frequent questions about what is American made, what are power connectors, you can find that here. Now, if you're interested in the prize, again, you have to make sure that you have an account. It's free to sign up for HeroX. So sign up for HeroX, follow the prize here, and then you're going to do, it's going to have a button that says solve this challenge. I've already clicked that before, but you're going to hit that button first, and then you're going to begin your entry. And this is where you will fill out all of your information, your eligibility here, your organizational information. This is also where you're going to upload your submission package. I highly, highly encourage you to do this earlier than later. You can always, which is great about this, is you can always save and save it as a draft. You don't have to submit it right away. So you can come back to it. Encourage you again, though, to fill out the submission form, get it started, come back to it. Because our deadline, it will close exactly at 5 p.m. Eastern on December 17th, and we don't accept late applications. So don't avoid any technical errors and start your submission today. All right, going back to our slide deck. Now we're going to talk through some of the key elements for your submission for phase one. So you know what you need to submit. And if you have any questions about any of these submission materials, you can ask us during this webinar. All right, the first requirement is the cover page. So you need to list basic information about your submission, such as the submission title, your organization name, your point of contact, and more. So make sure that you have this information ready, but you're going to submit this on HeroX. This is not a separate upload. And then also just noting that there will be some of these items will be made public after our winners are announced. The next is the summary slide, which is also made public on HeroX. You can think of the summary slide as a high-level overview of your organization and your portfolio. Often this is the item that reviewers will look at first to get a high-level summary of your team and your project. So this is a really great item to focus on and put your information about what you're trying to do, your projects, your team, your organization on this slide. Next is the portfolio narrative, where you will provide basic information about your expected community benefiting distributed solar portfolio to be developed over the course of the prize. You should be focusing on describing two things: the portfolio of projects you're planning to develop and your vision strategy for your organization's long-term growth as a solar developer. We do have a template available on HeroX to help guide your responses, but this is not required. Another important submission element is the Introduction to Community Solar course through our partners at the University of New Hampshire. The Intro to Community Solar course is intended to help teams understand how to become a solar project developer for projects that include the 5 meaningful benefits. The course it takes 3 to 4 hours, and this includes videos, reading assignments, and a self-assessment. You will be asked to submit the email that you use to register for the course, as well as the date of completion as evidence. And we will verify this information with our partners at the University of New Hampshire. If you've already completed this in the past, you can provide your email and the date of completion. But if it has been more than 1 year since you've taken this course, please retake the course just to get a refresher for this. Here on the slide, we have the link, but again, you can find this link under the resources tab on HeroX to complete that. So make sure that you do not wait to complete this course because it does take some time. And then also the last thing on this is that access is not instant, so you will need to request access ahead of the submission deadline. So our partners over at University of New Hampshire are pretty quick with it, but again, don't wait until the submission deadline to request your access for this course. The final submission requirement is the narrative, which is the heart of your phase 1 submission. For the narrative, we ask that you respond to a series of questions and prompts within 2 areas. First is organization and team. So we're asking you to describe your organization, your past experience, and your team, and how your team would benefit from participation in the prize. The next one is the disadvantaged community engagement. So we're asking you to provide us information about what is your plan to engage and work with the underserved and disadvantaged communities in which you plan to develop your community benefiting distributed solar portfolio. You'll have 3,500 words to answer all 2 areas. We do provide a template, but this is not required for you to use. You can find more information about this or about the phase 1 narrative in the official rules document. All right, so now I'm going to talk a little bit about the scoring. So each submission will be reviewed by a panel of 3 to 4 reviewers who will score and provide comments. Reviewers will review all submission elements and then score it based on the judging criteria statements on this with a 1 to 6 scale as shown on this slide. So 1 being strongly disagree to 6 strongly agree. Ultimately, though, CETO is the final judge and will make selections based on our reviewer scores, comments, and our program policy factors. So if you're interested in learning more about the scoring, please check out the rules and you can see our scoring criteria, the statements, and read a little bit more about that. Lastly is our program policy factors. So not only are winners selected based on scores and comments from our reviewers, but they are also selected based off of our program policy factors, such as geographic diversity, diversity in project or program type, and the degree to which the submission supports and complements DOE's existing programs and strategies to achieve DOE goals. So I would encourage you to read more about our program policy factors, and this is listed on page 45 in the official rules. All right, so before we are getting close to our Q&A and before we dive into that, I wanted to take a moment to talk to you about phase 2 and phase 3 and what you can expect for these 2 phases of the prize. So first is phase 2. This one is really focusing on the foundations course and the credit ready checklist, as Ali was mentioning earlier. We anticipate phase 2 launching in February. This will be shortly after the phase 1 winners are announced. And again, for phase 2, up to 25 teams will be eligible to receive $200K, and then they will be able to move on to phase 3. So the main activities and requirements for phase 2, the phase 1 winners will need to participate and graduate from the Community Power Accelerator Foundations course, which is a live remote course designed to educate developers on distributed solar in disadvantaged communities. This course is anticipated to run from February through April of 2025. The course consists of 8 learning modules as well as weekly instructor-led Zoom sessions. And if you are participating in this course, you can expect to commit 6 to 8 hours per week plus the 90-minute Zoom session. So it is a time-consuming course, but this is your main focus for phase 2. This is what you're going to be doing. So make sure whoever is going to be participating in this course has that time to participate in this. It is a requirement to complete it. If you don't complete it, you will not be able to pass phase 2. In addition to the foundations course, the competitors will also complete the credit ready checklist, list their portfolio of projects on our Accelerator marketplace. You'll need to obtain site control, which is really, really important. And you'll provide a pro forma of your projects and provide an investor pitch deck to us. The goal for this is that way at the end of phase 2, you are ready to go to phase 3 and start talking to financiers, capital providers, and get the financing you need for your projects so you can start developing them. Additionally, For phase two, you will be able to work with our technical assistance coaches to get advice on the checklist, get any of those sticky questions that you might have, and they'll help you throughout phase two. All right, and for phase three, so this will be beginning in September, shortly after our first set of phase two winners are announced. Phase two, just going back to that real quick, it's not listed here on the slide, and you can read more about the rules and these dates. But in phase two, you will have two opportunities to submit. We have two submission deadlines in this phase, and which is why phase three opens a little bit earlier. So if you submit to the first deadline in phase two and you don't win, you don't have that site control, you can again submit for the second deadline, which is really great. You get another opportunity. So highly encourage you to submit for both deadlines. Get feedback if you don't win the first deadline, and then that way we can make sure that you pass the second deadline. Of course, as I've mentioned, we want you to be successful, which is why we have two deadlines for phase two. All right, moving on to phase three. So phase three, this begins in September. This is our anticipated date. And again, this is after our first phase two winners are announced. We are anticipating selecting up to 25 teams in this phase to be eligible for that $150K cash award. So some of the activities and requirements for phase three, as phase three, he will be on the Community Power Accelerator marketplace. You'll be on that platform and engaging with capital providers, have your projects uploaded. You'll be talking to people, trying to get your projects financed. And again, one of our biggest goals for the entire prize is to get your projects financed. So the goal for phase three and how you will pass phase three is getting your projects fully financed. And you can use the marketplace to achieve that goal, but you will need to secure investments from capital providers for your full portfolio of at least 1 megawatt. We will also be having a investor pitch event or networking event during phase three. So again, since our goal is to get you full financing for your projects, we will host an investor pitch event to help you with that. We'll invite capital providers and you'll pitch your projects to them. They'll give you feedback. You can connect with them afterwards. It'll be a great event for you, especially if you've never been in this environment before. This is very helpful to connect with them. And then also you'll need to provide evidence that you are incorporating at least of those three of the 5 meaningful benefits, which again, 2 of them are required to have in the portfolio. And then of course, we'll have a submission package due at the end of this phase. All right, so that's all the information we wanted to share with you about the prize. We hope you are excited for the prize as much as we are. I wanted to quickly go through some of the next steps and do a quick recap for you all before we dive into our Q&A. So first, get signed up to follow the challenge on HeroX. Create your account on HeroX if you have not already. Again, this is how you will apply for the prize. If you don't have an account on HeroX, it's very easy. It's free. But make sure you create your account and follow the prize on HeroX. You can use this QR code to sign up on HeroX and follow the prize. Also, join the National Community Solar Partnership Plus if you have not already. This is a great resource for you, and we want to see you on the platform, on that platform. So make sure you get signed up there. Do those 2 things first before you move on to your phase 1 submission. The next thing after you've followed the prize, you've created your account on HeroX, you're now a part of the NCSP Plus. I would encourage you to read the rules. This is your guide for this prize. It has all of the information that we've discussed today and more. It's a lot more detailed than what we've discussed. I've given you just really a high-level overview of the prize and phase 1. So make sure that you read the rules. We lay out everything very clearly in the rules. And also a lot of the times if you ask us questions, we'll be like, in section 2.2 or whatever section that we're referring to, and we'll direct you back to the rules. So read the rules. Next, sign up for the Introduction to Community Solar course. Again, this takes about 3 to 4 hours and the access is not instant. So it's going to be imperative that you sign up for this course and complete it before the submission deadline. Make sure that you do that. That is a requirement for the prize as well. If you've read the rules, you've signed up for the course, you're now all signed up on HeroX, you have questions, you need some support, you want some feedback on your submission materials, I highly recommend you connect with our Power Connector, EFN. Tom and Cassie are great and they can provide you some feedback again on your submission materials. And now you have your full submission package all ready to go. You've followed all these steps. The next thing for you to do is submit your submission. Do so before December 17th by 5 p.m. Again, HeroX will lock you out at 5 p.m. Eastern time. So if you don't have your submission submitted by then, we can't accept it. So please make sure that you submit it before December 17th. And just as a tip from myself as a prize administrator who's worked on many of these prizes, technical issues definitely happen, but if you submit earlier and you ask us questions, we can get those situated. I've had people that submit right at 5 p.m. and something happens, and it's just easier if you're having issues earlier in the day with HeroX, reach out to us. We can help you get that all situated. So make sure that you submit early. Lastly, if you do have questions, you've done all of these things and something's still not right, you don't, something's not been answered through this webinar, through the forum, whatnot, you can ask us questions on the forum, go to HeroX to the forum, or you can email us at communitypower@nrel.gov. Again, we will get back to you as quickly as we can, but I would encourage you to ask your questions first on the forum, as that will be seen, and sometimes the emails can get buried. Not always, but that would be my tip for you today. All right, now we are going to move into our Q&A here. I see there's lots of questions happening. And
Lots
so,
of great
Allie,
questions.
yeah,
This is
Allie, is
my
there any
favorite
that you want
part.
to start?
Yeah, this is my favorite part of doing these webinars, especially seeing all the creativity that's already flowing. Really excited. So thank you everyone for your questions. Let's start with the $1 million question. We have two that are kind of in the same vein of likelihood that future phases of funding of this prize, what's going to happen? I know this is at the forefront of everyone's mind. But the good news is that when it comes to this prize funding, it is signed, sealed, and delivered across all three of our rounds, actually. So fear not on that one. Now, when it comes to talking about direct pay or tax credits, I do not work for IRS. I can't answer those questions. If I could read into the minds of Congress, I would, probably be paid millions of dollars. So I can't answer that one, unfortunately, but yes, please rest assured that the funding for this prize is squared away. So thank you for those two questions. Let's look at another one. Oh, this is a good one. So do all projects in a portfolio need to realize the same meaningful benefit? They give an example about solar workforce development and, community-led economic development. Wonderful. So we are looking across portfolios. So for instance, if, an EV charger is part of your portfolio, that's not necessarily going to be offering households a benefit, right? You could kind of probably try to stretch the truth there, but no, we're looking across these meaningful benefits across the portfolio, so not in the project by project sense. So that is a great question. And yes, you say 2 projects may opt for, so want to clarify this as well. So the mainstays of the meaningful benefit that your portfolio must have is the equitable access and consumer protections piece and the savings piece. You will not win this prize if you do not meet those 2 meaningful benefits plus one of the other meaningful benefits as well. I don't know, Kaylee, if you want to go back to that slide where we talk about the meaningful benefits. I think it's a better visual to have on exactly what we're looking for. But yes, all your portfolio must have that equitable access piece, and it must have the savings piece. And then you get to pick your own adventure on one of the other 3 meaningful benefits. So you can either have storage, you can either have that community-led economic development, or you can have the workforce piece. Choose your own adventure. A great question on the financing side. So by participating in this program, if we already have investments and investors, do we qualify? So the main thing we are looking for here, that's fine. First of all, if you have investments already in hand, great, you're ahead of the game. Your projects cannot be energized. They cannot be commissioned already. It has to be new, all right? So if your project is already in the construction phase and you've got your financing sorted out, wonderful. I applaud you. Put your new projects on the accelerator. But through this prize, you must be developing new projects. So it's fine if you have investments secured already, but those projects cannot be commissioned. But great question. I love that we have some fellow government folks in here. Are government buildings not schools that are looking to implement solar eligible for this opportunity? Highly encouraged. We have a ton of projects in our round 2 of this prize that do involve municipal buildings, city support. So 100% absolutely would love to see you in this prize. Another one, sort of in the similar vein, school district would be eligible. Absolutely. Accomplishing the household savings, you don't have to have your plan entirely ironed out. Fully 100% respect that we have a lot of people coming to this prize who are not solar developers, who are not experts. That's okay, because we're going to teach you how to do it. So that being said, we in our round 1 of this prize, we have the City of New Orleans Public School District. They are a winner of this prize. So highly recommend you look at those other Hero X pages. Kaylee, maybe you want to post that round 1 Hero X page so all of the folks who are involved in school districts can take a look at what New Orleans is doing, because it's quite inspiring. More here. Trying to keep track of the questions. You guys are rapid firing it. I love it. If a group is already participating in the Community Power Accelerator, can it apply for round 3 funding if we have a new project? So trying to read between the lines here, and thanks, Kaylee, for bringing up those meaningful benefits. If your project is already on the accelerator, is on the online platform, yes, absolutely, you can apply for this prize. If you are a prior prize winner, so if you've won round 1 or round 2 of this prize, you can only apply for round 3 if you have only won phase 1. I know this gets really complicated with the phases and the rounds, but let me repeat that. So if your projects are on the accelerator, you can absolutely apply for this prize. The only limiting factor is if you have won other rounds of this prize. So if you won phase 2, you won that $200,000, you cannot apply for this prize again. But that is in the rules. So highly encourage you all to read the rules as well, if you haven't done so. Are local governments eligible to apply? Absolutely, highly encouraged. Lots of questions here. Yeah, go ahead,
See,
Kaylee.
just a couple more questions regarding the meaningful benefits, and if the required meaningful benefits is just for each project, or is it the whole portfolio? So just want to clarify, since we have the slide up, and Allie did mention this, but so your whole portfolio, which needs to have 2 projects that have at least 1 megawatt. So that's your portfolio. So 2 projects. So your portfolio needs to have the equitable access and consumer protections and meaningful household savings. So project 1 could have the equitable access and consumer protections, and project 2 can have meaningful household savings. And then you can say project 1 also has the community-led economic development, and that's the requirement, and that's how that will that's the portfolio. But again, so if you do have both projects have each of those meaningful benefits, the equitable access and meaningful household savings, great, we love that, thank you. But it is not required to have each project have both of those.
Absolutely. Thank you, Kaylee. I appreciate that. We also have a similar question about, like, oh man, what if my state doesn't have effective net metering? Am I gonna be able to show this? The answer is yes. We do have some really innovative projects in our prior rounds that do not have great state policies. So definitely want to encourage you all to be creative. And that's part of the great pieces of this prize, is that we're going to help you figure this out. So just looking through here, again, another schools question. Thanks, Patricia. This sounds awesome. You're already thinking in the right direction, like in summer months, producing energy when the buildings are not in use, energy can be stored. Oh, you're already on the right track here. So yeah, definitely encourage you to read the fine print in the rules on how to meet those meaningful benefits. You say that you're not an EJ community. That is fine. That is fine. As long as you can demonstrate that the benefits of the households are flowing to those low to moderate income families, that is okay. We see this a lot in community solar, where the community solar is built somewhere, potentially 100 miles away. And the beneficiaries of that system are those low to moderate income households. So that is fine. Just reading another question here. Someone needs help getting access to the course, Kaylee. So if you can take that one in the chat. And by the way, any questions we don't get through here today, we will post online. So fear not. As Kaylee just said, oh, yep, we got that one again about the portfolio versus the individual projects. Cool. It sounds like feed-in tariffs with utilities will not qualify. It does sound that way. Yes, we haven't come across that model yet, so we might have you talk to one of our power connectors to really understand the full scope. This is where it gets really complicated because, we would love to hear about all of your projects, but we also need to see it written down in an application in order to formally judge it. Our school district was awarded the Energy Class Prize a couple of years ago. Does that impact our question? Oh, Kaylee's already typing an answer. Did you want to just say it out loud, Kaylee?
Yeah, so for this, no, it does not impact your chances of the new opportunity, but I would highly encourage you to read the rules and to make sure that you're eligible for this prize. But no, if you've applied for other American-made prizes and you want to apply for this one, you can. And if you want an Energy Class Prize, you can apply for this. That's a great thing about prizes, is that you can apply for one and many as long as you are eligible and meet the goal requirements for the prize.
Thanks, Kaylee. Yeah. Also seeing another question from Ari. I'm really hyped that we have so many schools here. Like, this is the dream for me. So we're a school district and we plan to use multiple roofs. Do we need, for example, to have already done all of our roof studies and identified exact locations of the project before we apply for phase one? No, you don't. You're going to tackle all that after you win phase one. So great question. You don't have to have it all together, but we do love to see a vision, right? So phase one, I like to think about that as the dreaming phase. So if you have some ideas of locations, you've already started conversations, like walk us through the story of where you're at. Regional preferences for the prize. I'm in California. Yeah, California is a little bit tough of a market at the moment. There is not formal regional preferences. There's not. We definitely, want to be inclusive in this prize. So that is definitely a goal. And when we're assessing winners, we certainly look at the map and try, we wouldn't award like all of our projects to New York State. Like that just, doesn't sound equitable and fair and in the spirit of the prize. So, but great question. We have one question on resilience and batteries. Oh, sorry, Kaylee. I'm already beating you to the punch.
Yeah, I'm gonna write this answer as well into the chat. But again, this is asking if you have one meaningful benefit for one project, but can you have a different meaningful benefit in another project? And yes, you can have different meaningful benefits in your projects as long as you have the first two required meaningful benefits. And you have a third meaningful benefit. So you have three full meaningful benefits, but again, they can be different in each of your projects.
Thanks, Kaylee. Great. We're down to our last couple of minutes here. So definitely everybody, if you have a burning question, be typing it up so that we can be sure to hit it, whether on this call or after this call. Great question from Anthony. Is the prize applicable to Indigenous communities on reservations? 100% yes, absolutely. We've awarded 4 teams across round 1 and round 2 that are working hand in glove with tribal communities. So we would love to see more applications coming from Indigenous communities. So thank you, Anthony, and I appreciate you lifting that up. If CNI projects from anonymous attendee, if CNI projects are being proposed in LMI communities, is it possible for these projects alone to satisfy meaningful benefits 1 and 2? Or do we need community solar projects in addition to commercial and industrial to achieve meaningful benefits 1 and 2 in a broader community? This is a loaded question. I think we need to think on it more. But on its face, I have seen models where a commercial industrial project would hit that meaningful benefits 1 and 2, so that access piece and that savings piece. I have seen that. So on its face, I want to say yes, but this is one of those great questions where it's like, I kind of want more details in order to, again, you all are kind of like putting it out there and I'm like, ooh, that sounds like a great idea. I wish I had more information to really give you a full answer, but that's why I'm encouraging you to apply for the prize. We probably have time for a couple more questions here. How Andrea asks, how thoroughly developed should site location and prospective partners be in the phase 1 application? I might want to award this as the best question we've gotten today. Thanks for thinking of it. Prospective partners, really, really important for us to see in the phase 1 of this application. We want to be seeing that you're doing that inclusive community outreach, that you're thinking about how you're going to not only achieve the benefits, but how you get there matters. So identifying those prospective partners will absolutely be something that we're looking for in that phase 1 application. In terms of the site locations, it's a little bit of a variable. So in between round 1 and round 2, we have teams where, they're just beginning conversations with folks who have sites. Some teams, of course, if you're a multifamily affordable housing provider, you already own your sites, right? So definitely goes across the gamut. But I want to emphasize here, you do not need to have site control to apply for phase 1. So this deadline that's coming up that we're talking about here today, you do not have to have your sites signed on the dotted line that you have control of them. That's not what we're looking for. In phase 2, we are 100% looking for that. So just be aware of, if you're starting from ground zero in your site control journey, you're going to have a significant learning curve compared to somebody that might already own their sites. So it's 100% something you should bake into your timeline and your explanation within your application.
Well, I think we got time for one more question.
One more. Oh boy, it's hard to pick. I like this other prize question, Kaylee, if you could take it. We're currently in Solar Prize round 8, phase 1. Can we be in the CPA prize simultaneously? Will we have to withdraw?
Yeah, that's a great question. And no, you could be in both prizes simultaneously. I will say though, the caveat of that is like they should be different innovations. But Solar Prize round 8 and Community Power Accelerator are different goals and everything. So it shouldn't be a problem. But no, you can be in both prizes at the same time. But if you have more questions about that or are wondering if you have like duplicate innovations, because we try not to fund duplicate stuff, you can read more about that in the appendix of the rules. You can reach out to us and we can help answer that a little bit more for you. All right, but we are at time. So again, thank you everybody for attending today's informational webinar for the Community Power Accelerator Prize. We're so excited that you're interested in this prize. As I have mentioned before, make sure you sign up for the prize on HeroX and start your submission. The submission deadline is December 17th. This webinar is recorded and we will be posting the webinar recording as well as the slide deck on HeroX by the end of this week. Again, if you have questions, please post them on to the HeroX forum, or you can reach out to us at communitypower@nrel.gov. So thank you, Allie, for being here today. Thank you to our team. And we look forward to reviewing your submission on post December 17th. Thanks all.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great one.